Hi guys, this is gsndon.com and I'm here with the Samsung Galaxy S4. It's time to finally review this handset that everyone is talking about. This phone was announced back in March, we previewed it in April, and now in July it's time for the final review. For those of you wondering, this version is the Samsung GT i9505 version, the one with the Snapdragon 600 processor inside, and the price tag of this model is $639 off contract or $199 on contract on the carrier AT&T in USA. By the way, you should probably know that this phone also has a Snapdragon 800 version available in Korea with the new LTE type of connectivity. There is also a Google Edition version that for some reason got Android 4.3 on board. Okay, now let's analyze the design of the handset. The Samsung Galaxy S4 is pretty similar to the Galaxy S3, although the bezels are much smaller. The design language is, as I said, very much like the S3, and it's a comfortable to hold handset in spite of the glossy and slippery back case. And now let's show the ports and slots. So we got the micro USB port here, also microphone here, on the right side on-off button, and this little hole for removing the cover. At the top we have the audio jack right here, this infrared emitter, another microphone here. Finally on the left side we have the volume buttons. At the back, camera and flash, here the speakers, and of course home button with the two capacitive buttons next to it. At the top we have the front camera and a bunch of sensors plus the earpiece. So that's pretty much it when it comes to this handset. Now let's lift the cover. When I unboxed the device, by mistake I lifted the cover starting from here. No, you shouldn't do that. You should start from here. Okay, so we got a battery, obviously. Here you can see the speaker much better, the micro SD card slot, micro SIM card slot, and other mechanisms hidden under this cover. Pretty easy to remove cover, pretty easy to snap back on. Okay, now let's talk some measurements. The Samsung Galaxy S4 measures 7.9 millimeters in thickness, so it's reasonably thin. It weighs 130 grams, and it's, as I said, slippery, just like the Galaxy S3. It tends to slip from your hand because of the plasticky glossy case. We have a silver band around the sides, as you can see. All around the sides there is a silver band. From what I know, this is plastic, but it's made to look like metal. As I said, from what I know, feel free to contradict me. And this handset does feel quite solid in spite of using a large amount of plastic. It has flatter edges compared to the Galaxy S3, and also on the top, I must mention again, we have an infrared blaster right here that allows us to use the phone as a remote control for a TV. One thing that I must mention, in spite of the fact that I seem to dislike the design, I actually like it after a couple of days. So the design grows on you after a couple of days, but in my personal opinion, the HTC One design is a little bit better. And now let's handle the hardware part of the review. We have a micro SIM card slot here, we have LTE support, and this beautiful display that you can see right here. Well, this is a 5-inch Full HD screen, Super AMOLED with Gorilla Glass 3 protection, and other specs worth mentioning: quad band GSM GPRS Edge connectivity and 2 gigs of RAM at the inside. Continuing the list of specs, inside the handset we have a Snapdragon 600 quad-core 1.9 GHz processor with the Adreno 320 GPU. There is also an Exynos 5 Octa version of the phone with an 8-core CPU, or better said, a dual 4-core setup, plus there's also that Snapdragon 800 version I mentioned earlier. The camera at the back is a 13 megapixel unit with LED flash. The camera at the front is a 2 megapixel unit right here. And other specs worth mentioning, of course, we have Wi-Fi of all standards, Wi-Fi Direct, DLNA, GPS, GLONASS, and this handset comes in storage versions of 16, 32, 64 gigabytes of storage. We also have a micro SD card slot with support for up to 64 gigabytes. There is also micro USB with support for USB host and MHL 2.0. Once again, on the connectivity side, Bluetooth 4.0, NFC, infrared for the TV remote feature, and active noise cancelling with a dedicated mic. Now I'm going to talk to you a bit about the sensors. There is a lot to say about the sensors on this handset, so let's deal with them. On the left side of the earpiece, we got the RGB light sensor that measures the red, green and blue and white intensity of light source. So this one right here on the left of the earpiece is the RGB light sensor. On the right side of the earpiece here, these two here before the camera, well, these ones are used for gesture sensors and proximity sensor. The gesture sensor will recognize your hand using infrared rays, and the proximity sensor will once again use infrared rays to find the user. Speaking of sensors, I must mention some other ones inside the device: gyroscope, accelerometer, barometer, geomagnetic sensor, temperature and humidity sensor, and a special cover sensor here into the side that will allow you to detect the flip cover of the device in order to activate it. So those are all the sensors you need to know on the Galaxy S4. Now, as far as battery life goes, well, this handset has a lithium-ion 2600 mAh unit inside, and on paper we're promised 17 hours of talk time and also 350 hours of standby time or 62 hours of music. Where in our tests we achieved pretty easily about 20 hours of usage time. So here we are, as you can see, 17 hours 43 minutes with 31% left. As you can see, we did a lot of gaming. We played Chaos Rings, Blitz Brigade. Here's the usage of the battery. So it was a pretty good battery life. You can easily achieve 20 hours of fun. You can even get 2 days if you really know how to manage your resources. So 1 or 2 days, I find this battery life to be excellent. Now, as far as the audio goes, this handset supports FLAC files, WAV files, and it even supports folders. This is the music player that Samsung pre-installs. You can control it with your voice. So for example, if I say play, let's try again, play, pause, play, pause, play. So that's about it. You can also say previous, forward, or volume up or volume down. Okay, so you also have a bunch of areas here. You can organize songs simply by their list, playlists, albums, artists. There's also a music square that organizes music according to moods: exciting, passionate, calm, or joyful. We even have folders included here. And let's see what other stuff we can mention. We have an option, let's go back. So we have an option called Sound Alive. Using Sound Alive, you can select a couple of presets in order to amplify your audio experience. So you have pop, rock, dance, jazz, classic, bass boost, 7.1, virtual externalization, cafe, and even a custom option where you can play with your equalizer or even an extended equalizer with bass, 3D, reverb level. So a lot of audio settings to play with, which is excellent for the average audiophile. Okay, you can also select the play speed and go up to twice the normal speed. And of course you can add some lyrics, search them on the web. And there is also an option called Smart Volume that will adjust each track's volume to an equal level, so you can listen to a uniform experience all over the album. There's also an interesting technology called Adapt Sound. This one, well, basically it can play low and high frequency beeps and ask if you hear them in order to calibrate your headphones. So if I'm going to connect a bunch of headphones, these are the standard ones that come with the Galaxy S4. Beautiful, by the way, beautiful and very comfortable. Okay, let's say I connect them. Here we go. And then I'm going to the settings again, selecting Adapt Sound, turning it on, and now a bunch of signals will be emitted, low and high frequency beeps, and the headphones will be calibrated. The nifty thing is that this applies to other headphones as well, so you can buy a pair of headphones, calibrate them, and enjoy a perfect audio experience. I have to say that the volume of this device is excellent, but the HTC One is a bit louder. So I keep speaking about the audio quality. Let's actually listen to something. Okay, so I'm going to use SoundCloud in order to avoid any copyright issues, and I'm going to play two songs, one that's more calm and another one that's a bit more violent. This is the calm one. Let's turn up the volume. Speaker right here. And this is the more violent song I was talking about. Okay, so that was the more violent song, and now some conclusions. As you can hear, the volume is very good, but it's certainly no match to the stereo experience that the HTC One offers. While this one has two speakers, one on top of each other here, the HTC One has one here and one here, and those deliver a stereo experience with a much louder volume. This one also has a loud volume, but not as loud as the HTC One. At least the voice is clear, there is no distortion, the bass is superb. And now let's talk a bit about the headphones. We have redesigned earphones straight from Samsung. The model is HS330. That's the model number for these brand new earphones. They have dual speakers. They have an 8mm tweeter and a 10mm woofer. They're also bundled with a tangle-free wire. So this is a tangle-free flat wire. And you must also know that the remote control is now larger compared to the Galaxy S3. The buttons are larger in order to be pressed easily. So overall we got a superb audio experience and a lot of customization to go with it, with those many equalizer settings that you saw earlier. And now let's talk a bit about the display and the video quality. For that I'm going to use the video player on board the device and play some videos. This is the bundled video that comes with the phone. It's a benchmark video. So let's turn the volume down a bit and enjoy the view. As you also saw on the Galaxy S3, you can zoom in. The display is very crisp. There's also a bunch of settings here to play with. You can also do a chapter preview, scan for nearby devices, and here are the settings. Capture, play speed, sound alive, the option from earlier, subtitles and tag body. There is also the famous pop-up play option, the one that allows you to move the video around, keep doing something else, access the web browser if you want, and keep viewing the video unless it's finished. Okay, we have one more video to play with. It's the Big Buck Bunny animation. It's a full HD video that serves as a benchmark as well. And let's use once again pop-up play. Here it is. You can move it around, as I said, continue doing your tasks, and then go back to it if you want. Okay, now let's talk a bit about the display. This is a 5-inch Full HD Super AMOLED display with a pentile matrix. Its brightness is 206 lux units on white. The HTC One has over 400, and on black we have 0 lux, which is excellent, since the black levels are excellent on the Super AMOLED panel. Now I must show you two interesting samples here, since I spoke about the black and white behavior of the device. We use the microscope to enhance the screen, and this is what you can see if you really zoom in with a microscope on a white background. This is the pentile matrix with the brightness I said earlier, and this is on the black, a totally deep black with 0 lux, as I said earlier. Now let's check out the settings that the screen offers. Display. So let's see, here we have screen mode. You have adapt display, or you can set dynamic, standard, professional photo, movie, or as I said, adapt display. That gets you the ideal settings. So that's pretty much everything you need to know about the display. Other things worth mentioning is that the pixel density here is 441 ppi. The viewing angles are perfect. Once again, back to the video. So viewing angles are excellent, although there's a slight color degradation when you tilt the device, and the color saturation beats all the phones. Here the contrast is excellent. The AMOLED has a tendency of being slightly oversaturated, but you can tune it down from the settings area. You can tune down that oversaturation, and the brightness could be just a little bit higher. Of course, this is not the maximum volume, but it could be higher, or at least the brightness that you can apply in full sunlight. The handset works with gloves, as you probably know. There is a special setting for that, and the capacitive touchscreen uses Synaptics technology, ClearPad technology, called 3D Touch. This is the one that detects the finger from 2 centimeters. So if you want to, let's say, navigate in the gallery with the air view option, well, here it is. That's what I was talking about, the Synaptics 2 centimeter distance finger sensing technology. Pretty cool. Once again, the screen is superb. Aside from the brightness that could be a bit higher, especially in the sunlight, and a bit of oversaturation, I find the experience to be truly excellent on this screen. Okay guys, that time has come, and by that time I mean it's time to talk about the camera. We got a 13 megapixel camera here, and we also have this castle that I've used for the Galaxy Note 2, if I'm not mistaken, review. And now let's talk just a little bit about this 13 megapixel camera. Well, I've taken some indoor samples, some samples of river, some samples in a mountain, so I have a lot of samples to show you. Once again, indoor samples included as well, effects, cats, sights, even a Michael Bolton concert for some reason. Okay, this camera has an f2.2 aperture, and its focal length is 4.235 millimeters. It also has a 69-degree angular field of view, and now you can see some of the effects that you can apply to the camera. Its sensor is a 1/3 of an inch, and the pixel size is 1.12 microns, while the HTC One pixel size is 2 microns. You also have a fisheye option, as you can see, so a lot of filters to play with. And what else can I say? It can take pictures of 13 megapixels in 4:3. So let's go to the settings area and show you. As you can see here, this is the maximum photo size in the 16:9 aspect. So you get a 9.6 megapixel picture in 16:9 and a 13 megapixel picture in 4:3 aspect ratio. There is also an option called dual shot, and the effect you see at the bottom. Dual shot can be triggered from here, so I can integrate my face if I want to in a picture. so you can take a picture of your friends and also be in the picture with them. Okay, so I'm going to show the settings yet again. Photo size, birth shot, face detection, metering, ISO that goes up to 800, anti-shaking, auto night detection. On the video side we have full HD and also GPS tagging, review, volume key to zoom in, timer, white balance, exposure, guidelines, flash, voice control. You can activate the camera by saying cheese or take a picture. And I must also show you the filming options, which are pretty cool. The recording mode are normal, limit for MMS, slow motion or fast motion, and for each option there are several sub options. So this is the slow motion by half the speed, 4 times less the speed, and 1/8 of the speed. You can also go with fast motion, once again amplifying the motion by 2 times, 4 times or 8 times, or you can go back to normal for normal filming. Okay, now I'm going to show you some of the samples I've taken, but before that let's just take a picture of this castle and check it out. Here it is, here's the castle captured earlier. I gave it enough time to focus, and in spite of that there is a slight bit of blur that happens here. You'll see that blur appearing in some other indoor pictures. Now let me access the gallery and show you some of the many pictures I've taken. I'm going to start with those that are more unique, so to say. So let me start with panoramas. Okay, let's find panoramas. Here it is, the first panorama. Pretty normal, pretty average, nothing out of the ordinary, normal, regular panorama. This one is much longer. Okay, we also have a slow motion video. Let me find it. I have hundreds of samples here, so this is truly a detailed review. So this is a slow motion shot. And I have an even slower motion shot, this one. This is how do you do the video capture in slow-mo. This is truly spectacular, especially if you look at the details. Okay, I also tried the fast motion, equally cool. Looks like a comedy movie or something. Okay, aside from that, I also have some indoor shots that, as I said, were just a bit disappointing. Those are some soldiers from a game. They were caught indoor, and as you can see there's some serious blur going on here. This is what happens if you take pictures indoors with this headset. As you can see, this one is actually better, so you have to really be careful when focusing. That's the key here. Okay, one conclusion here is that the HTC One takes better indoor shots than this one. I also have a HDR picture. The color equalization is pretty good. So we have this normal picture, and then if I'm not mistaken, this one is the HDR one. Nope, not this one. It's usually in the details area where you can see if a picture is HDR or not. A regular picture, details, and as you can see, this is HDR. So regular picture, HDR picture. Better color equalization, as I said, and equalization between shadows and light. I actually tried out all of the modes that this camera has, so I must show you some other cool options, the ones that really stand out on this device. Everyone's talking about these modes here. We got auto mode, beauty face that enhances facial features, best photo, take a series of pictures, select the best to save, best face, select the best picture out of 5 consecutive pictures, sound and shot, you'll see it later on, drama shot, animated photo, it basically creates a GIF, HDR, you already saw it, eraser is pretty cool, but it's hard to demo here. You simply erase someone from the shot, panorama, sports, night and auto. Those are the special options of the camera. Okay, now I must go back to the gallery and show you some more unique shots. Okay, camera, and I'm going to start with some close-ups of roses that I find to be pretty nice. So close-ups of roses. This handset takes excellent close-up pictures. as you can see. Slightly oversaturated, of course, but it may also be the fault of the screen. And now I'm going to show you one of the best photos I've taken. Is the photo of a group of flowers. Not this one. This one. It's actually a very nice shot of a group of flowers, very well taken. You can see the details. A stunning 30 megapixel cameras when it comes to close-ups. Just look at the details of the flower. It's a picture taken with this camera and it's very impressive, I have to say. When it comes to shots taken in normal daylight, this one beats the HTC One, but when it comes to indoor shots, it's inferior. Okay, now I have to show you a couple of the effects that I applied here. I just play with the camera, with a fountain. This is the fisheye effect. Then I applied some filters, some vintage ones and stuff like that. There's also dual shot as I shown you earlier. The zooming in the video is actually pretty good, and I also can show you a sound and shot picture. Let me find it. So here it is, sound and shot. I can check out this picture and hear water. That's one example of sound and shot. Another one would be one of our friends blowing the candles on a cake, and you'll hear the discussions and people applauding and singing happy birthday. Okay, I said something about zooming in during a video, so let's see how this one handles the zoom. There is a turtle in the water, and now we're zooming in. The quality loss during the zoom is not that great, which is pretty impressive. So the zoom is a bit better than the one on the HTC One. Okay, let's see what other stuff we got here. This is one of those GIFs I was talking about, the animated photo. Of course, you can also animate other stuff like pets or something like that. I also tried a bit of a drama shot with a friend of mine, so these are his hands. You can create the effect of multiple hands of a person, or once again use pets. The S4 zooms more than the HTC One or the Galaxy S3. It has more zoom levels, so let me show that by accessing the camera. You're probably wondering why I'm talking about the camera so much. It's one of the most prominent features on the phone. You can zoom in using the volume buttons. So 4x zoom, pretty impressive. Okay, as I said, colors tend to be a little oversaturated, but the daylight shots are excellent and better than the HTC One, and the indoor shots are just a bit disappointing. It's time to talk about the video. For that, let me access the video area. We have 1080p 30 frames per second video capture, and the result is a file that has a bitrate of 17 megabytes per second. I also have a video where I activated the stabilization. The majority of videos were taken without stabilization, but for a certain video I opted to activate it. You'll see immediately I'm moving right now. I'm walking towards the fountain, walking at a pretty fast pace and wiggling the phone. And the stabilization is actually pretty good. You don't feel that I'm moving a lot. And the phone is really wiggling. So pretty decent stabilization. We also have some samples from a concert that will show you how good the mic is and how well it handles audio capture during video capture. Okay, you get the idea. So the audio capture when you're filming video is done in stereo audio with a 128 kilobytes per second bitrate and 48 kilohertz sampling rate. If you want to play around with pictures, let's take the castle, and here are the options that you can add. You can add a photo frame, photo note, copy to clipboard, rename, set as, crop, detect text, and pull a bunch of settings. So this is the photo frame option. The editing options are not that varied, they're pretty basic. As I said, a bunch of frames and stuff like that. It's time for the conclusion regarding the 13 megapixel camera that you can see here in a close-up with its LED flash. Overall, the camera is better than the one of the iPhone 5, much better than the one of the Sony Xperia Z, and only better than the HTC One, but only by daylight. When it comes to indoors, when it comes to filming even, HTC One is slightly better, and you should remember that if you ever want to take shots at night, indoors, or simply film stuff. Also, the audio recording may be good, but the HTC One is excellent when it comes to concerts. And now let's talk a bit about the benchmarks. I decided to compare the Samsung Galaxy S4 with the Sony Xperia Z and the HTC One. And as usual, I'm going to start with Quadrant. In Quadrant, we scored 12,289 points. We beat the Xperia Z with its 8,000 points, and we got beaten by the HTC One with 12,425 points. But sometimes this one may score more. It all depends on the moment you're taking the benchmark. In Antutu, we scored 23,738 points. We beat the Xperia Z with its 16,000 points, and we beat the HTC One with its 22,000 points. Next up, Nenamark 2, 60.1 frames per second, pretty similar results. Xperia Z 59.9 frames per second, HTC One 61.4 frames per second. Probably the smaller diagonal and same resolution helped. And then we got the famous 3D Mark, 9,951 points. We beat the Xperia Z and it's 9,100 points, but the HTC One is able to score as much as 10,600. I've seen Samsung Galaxy S4 scoring more. Once again, it depends on the moment you're taking the benchmark. Sometimes you score more, sometimes you score less. And next up, there's Velamo. In Velamo, we scored a pretty impressive score, 2,108 points. But HTC One was even more impressive with 2,300 points. Finally, in the browser test, here it comes, BrowserMark 2.0, 2,445 points. We beat the HTC One by a huge margin. That one scored 1,529 points. It's important to mention one thing here. The Xperia Z and HTC One both run Android 4.1, while this model ran Android 4.2.2. at the time of the testing. Okay, now I must also show you something interesting. I have some facts about the phone. We used a thermometer on the device, as you can see right here, and the maximum figures as far as temperature is concerned, we have reached 40.3 degrees Celsius in 3G download, 37 degrees Celsius in Wi-Fi download, and 42.6 degrees Celsius after a session of 3D gaming, which is very reasonable. And I must mention that these high degrees were achieved around the camera area, so you should remember that. And keep in mind that these figures are very good, so the temperature test has been passed with flying colors. Now it's that time of the review where I'm going to speak about the special features on this device. I'm going to start with AirView. As you know from the Galaxy Note 2, AirView was started with the S Pen. You simply kept it above the device and you saw previews of its media files. I can do the same thing with my finger now. There is a special technology from Synaptics that allows me to have my finger detected from up to 2 centimeters, at least on paper. It's actually much closer than that. You can also do that for videos. The ideal would be a list of videos, so let's try these ones. So this is the famous AirView you know of. But the list of features doesn't end here. There are many more. Of course, there's multitasking among others. I keep the back button pressed and we got this list right here. Let's say I trigger the web browser. And while I'm browsing on the web, I also decide I want to check out my email. I'm going to drag Gmail here, and now as you can see, split mode, I'm reading the email and doing some web browsing. Or I can, let's say, check out the gallery. So this is the gallery, I'm checking it out, doing some web browsing. You can also check out the split screen mode in landscape. Gallery, web browser, no problem at all. Okay, so that was the multitasking section of the device. Let's see what else Samsung has for us. Once again, this is the review of the Samsung Galaxy S4 from gsmdom.com. You can do a 2-finger swipe to show all the toggles of the device, all the settings that you need to access, the quick settings, stuff like NFC, S-Beam, Air View, screen mirroring, multi-window, Bluetooth, basically all the options you need to check out on this device. Now there is a section called Motions and Gestures. Let's find it. Probably the biggest improvement on the device. Here we go. We got air gesture. Well, this one basically allows you to do an air jump, for example, in the web browser. I'm hoping that I will be able to show you that. Okay, so let's try it. It doesn't actually work all the time. You should get it right from the first time. It all depends on the way that the sensors detect my hand. As you can see, I moved to another window. This is our sister site, Tablet News. Let's go back to Google in order to be able to scroll more, or to the main page of the website. You can see it's finally working. This is one of those air gestures. It's not 100%. Sometimes it won't detect my hand, but this time it detected it. Okay, so that was the air gesture. Now back to that area. Okay, you can also do a quick glance when the screen is off. You can reach towards the device, see most important info at a glance. This was the air jump. You can also do some air browsing and air moving and air call accept, but I wouldn't recommend that since waving your hand would wake up the device. Okay, let's see what else. There's also the option to control the device with palm motion. One of them is taking a screenshot by swiping the screen like this, or you can mute or pause the device by covering it with your palm. Very nice features here. And for example, you can call a person by putting the handset next to your ear. This one is a feature from Galaxy S3, so it's not important to show. Now let's see the smart screen section. One of the most impressive novelties that Samsung has brought. We got smart pause. You saw it earlier, it was a bit annoying. So I'm starting a clip. I'm playing a video. Now my eyes are watching the screen, and now my eyes aren't. Okay, let's try that again. So watching the screen, and then it should enter the pause mode. Once again, it doesn't succeed 100% all the time. Well, in theory, your eyes should be watching the screen, and then you turn your head for a bit and it will enter the pause mode. Let's try it with another video. Maybe this one will work. Okay, so watching the screen, turning my head. As you can see, it paused. I'm watching it again, I'm turning my head again. Paused. This time it worked. So you get the idea. That one was called Smart Pause, but just like the waving feature, it doesn't work 100% and all the time. There's another feature called Smart Stay, where the screen stays on as long as you are looking at it. This one was also brought from the days of the Galaxy S3. And then there's Smart Scroll, probably the feature I like the most. So let's say I'm in the web browser, and let's access GSM DOM this time. You saw that green eye symbol. Well, this is basically it. This is Smart Scroll. My eye has been detected. Let's try to find my eye. Okay, and now if I look down, the site will scroll. If I look up, it will scroll up. I'm looking down, it scrolls down. I'm looking up, it scrolls up. Everything is done with the movement of my head. Look up, look down to scroll. Once again, it can easily lose track of your eyes, so you can have to watch it carefully. I'm moving my head right now in order to scroll down or scroll up. This is the smart scroll I was talking about. Now it's searching for my eye again. It takes a bit of a while to detect it. Tilt your head down to scroll, tilt your head up to scroll up. That's the famous smart scroll, one of the most innovative features on this device. Okay, now let's check out the web browser on the device. As you can see, this is our website gsndon.com. You saw it earlier, it loaded pretty fast. The scrolling is very smooth. Pinch to zoom is also very smooth. And now let's check out the input methods on this device. We got a keyboard that's very comfy. You can see that the keys are very well spaced. And now let's see some of the alternative input methods. Hello, how are you? Very good input, as you can hear. Okay, other ways of input, let's see them. There's handwriting, once again very nice. Let's say some other website. Let's try to write tablet. So this is the handwriting option that we got here. And let's see some other options. You can also alternate between numbers and letters in the handwriting section. And let's go back to normal virtual keyboard. Several other options included here. You can add pictures, you can go to the settings area. This is the Samsung keyboard settings, input languages, predictive text, continuous input, handwriting and advanced. So that's pretty much it. This is everything you need to know when it comes to the input on this flagship phone. Okay, now it's time for that part of the review where I show you all the apps that are installed on the phone and what they do. We got the S Planner, pretty much the same experience from the Galaxy Note 2, with an organization in years, months, weeks, days, a list. These are the things to do. So this is basically your planner, your calendar, and your basic thing. You can add an event like this with a calendar synced to your Google account, for example, or to your Samsung account. Add the title, add the duration, repeat, reminder, location, description, participants, memos. So a lot of stuff to add to this planner. Next up, we move to the Samsung apps. This is Samsung's own app store. Finally, with an improved interface compared to last year. You get a lot of games here that are highlighted. Stuff picks, categories, children, financial, navigation, stuff picks once again, charts, search, wish list, purchased, payment methods. Let's see the payment methods. Credit card, gift card and coupons. So at least they revamped the interface of Samsung apps, which is good news. Then there's Samsung Hub. This is where you get your books and games format. They got rid of the Music Hub, Games Hub, Readers Hub, and simply created Samsung Hub. Some of the books you can see right here, some of the games. I frankly don't understand the need to offer games. We already have Samsung apps and Google Play Store. But Samsung wants a strong identity through its apps. Then we got something interesting. It's called Watch On. This one also integrates the remote control app for your TV. You can select a country, see some of the channels that you have available, favorites, TV shows, movies, sports, channel guide, and then there's the remote feature. You can instantly connect to your TV. You can power it up like this, turn the volume, the channel, and you have several other options here. And from what I understood, not only your TV but also your set-top box. So this can serve as a remote for your device. Then there's the feature that we call as voice. Okay, so let's go back. What is 2 plus 2? It's taking a while.
4.
You can activate it by saying "Hi Galaxy, show me restaurants nearby."
Web search, show me restaurants nearby.
As you can see, some of the tasks will be passed on to Google Now. So when it doesn't handle the task, it moves on to Google Now. It's quite an interesting feature. This is basically it. You can also do some other stuff like ask it to tweet something, set an alarm, get an answer. Let's say, what is the fastest car in the world? It takes much longer than Siri.
JCB Diesel Max.
Okay, now we know what the fastest car in the world is. Another interesting app is the S Translator. Okay, so let's say you're in Spain and you want to know what does cerveza means. It's translating cerveza, and as you can see, it's beer. Now you can try to say something. You can go to a person on the street in Spain and tell them to say something like, ¿Dónde está la cerveza? Where is the beer? So this is basically the use of the S Translator app. Then we got the optical reader, which is another interesting feature. As I said, optical reader, so let's use this book, activate optical reader, see what it can do. As the name says, you have to point it at words, contact information or QR codes. It's trying to focus on words. As you can see, it gives you definitions instantly from the words you're seeing. Let's see how it does with a name. He's trying to detect the word. Taking quite a while, but when it does find it, it's actually pretty cool. Okay, so this was the optical reader. LG has a similar feature on the LG Optimus G, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so aside from the optical reader, we move further. We got the S Memo. Once again, the famous app from the Galaxy Note. As you can see, these are some of the doodles that we made when we reviewed the Note. So basically, you can draw stuff. You can add a voice memo. You can change a view mode. You can add a picture, images, stuff from clipboard, maps, clip art, or you can simply start writing a text memo. Okay, then you save it, and then you have a bunch of notebooks of stuff that need to be remembered. You can see that you can also add shapes, triangles, and stuff like that. The app is very complex, but if you're going to watch a review of the Galaxy Note, you'll get what it does. Moving even further, this is probably my favorite app from the entire Galaxy S4. It's called S Health, and it really helps you monitor your health. You have a walking mate that measures the number of your steps. Then you have an exercise mate that does pretty much what it says, number of burned calories, a food tracker connected to a database. There's a comfort level. This one uses a thermometer and its barometer. It will show you the humidity level, pressure level, and temperature around you. You can also connect this device to a glucose meter and a blood pressure device, and also input your weight. So you can create a full health profile of your current status. Then there's an app called Story Album. You can take a bunch of your pictures and add them to a special gallery, like I'm doing right now. I selected these pictures, I clicked done, then I name the album, I select a theme, puzzle, snapshot, scrapbook, let's say scene. You select done, and then you pick the cover image, and then the album is created. Okay, so this was the Story Album app. Another app bundled with the device is called Group Play. So basically, if you have more than one Galaxy S4 unit, you can join them together, use them as speakers to play the same song, or play games between them. And aside from that, there's the usual bunch of apps like Gmail, with its nice tagging of emails, with these colored letters. Aside from Gmail, there's the usual Google Maps experience. Of course it works just fine, it looks crisp on the screen. Aside from Google Maps, we have the option to do some social networking thanks to Flipboard. Connected to my Facebook account and to my Twitter account. Also connected to some solid sources from design, sources from gaming world. If I'm not mistaken, Flipboard also came with the Galaxy S3, so nothing's changed here. You also have an app called TripAdvisor. This one will allow you to get useful information while you travel. For example, if you're in Barcelona or Spain, you can find out things to do. Now I'm going to find things to do in my area. You can find attractions, activities, nightlife, shopping. You can also find some flights. Once again, very useful. One-way flights, two-way flights, and everything you need to know. There's also Google Earth bundled with the Galaxy S4. Google Earth, you already know it, probably from the review of the Nexus 7. There are few devices with Google Earth bundled nowadays. One of them is the Galaxy S4, or at least the version we received. As usual, when finding a location, you'll see a bunch of pictures at the bottom, representative pictures for that area. And this is the Google Earth experience. Now I'm going to show you some of the widgets that come with the Galaxy S4. Some of them are very pretty. For example, you got a widget for the steps you're taking, got a widget for Samsung Hub, a widget for the TripAdvisor, one for Flipboard. This one is the weather widget. And I'm going to show you a very interesting feature of the device. Some of you are very annoyed probably if you own a Galaxy S4 and you see that it's written right here, Live Companion. Well, let me show you how to change it. You just swipe like I did to the bottom and then you'll see a bunch of colors, text formats, and other things to change, like the background. You can write everything you want there. You can write Hello Kitty or whatever your preferences are. Now some trivia about the Galaxy S4 at the end of the review, and by trivia I mean some special info that you probably didn't know. This handset has recently reached 20 million units sold in 2 months, so very impressive. Its case is actually made of polycarbonate, we didn't mention that. The battery has the NFC antenna integrated in it, and I must also show you the dialer. By the way, this handset makes excellent calls, the voice is very loud, the volume is excellent, and the voice is heard perfectly. TouchWiz feels more mature in this edition, and if you keep the menu button pressed, you will trigger Google Now, in case you want to use it. It will also remember some of the things you've searched. If you search for weather once, it will never ask you to search again, it will just show you the weather. Okay, so if you keep the home button pressed, you access the resource manager, if I can call it that way, or the multitasker. Here you can see how much RAM you have used up, clear the memory, downloaded apps, active applications, and some of them. And this is pretty much everything you need to know about the Samsung Galaxy S4. Now it's time for the big verdict and conclusions. Okay, the pros and cons related to this device. On the pro side, I must mention the care that Samsung is taking as far as the user is concerned. A lot of gestures. There's the S Health app, there's the option to adapt the sound to a bunch of headphones, so they're really taking care of the customer. It grows on you, the handset and its format. The performance is of course sky high. The CPU is very good, benchmark results are very good. The screen is fantastic, as you saw throughout the review. Excellent colors, excellent brightness, excellent viewing angles. Although, at least theoretically, the lux level, the brightness is inferior to the HTC One. We also have a huge amount of options in the camera area. You can play with a lot of these options, once again on the pro side. Also a bunch of audio options to explore, excellent audio quality, very good battery, you can even reach 2 days of use. A huge amount of sensors to play with, humidity sensor, we have a barometer, we have a thermometer. Those are all the pros of the device. Once again, it tends to grow on you. In theory, you will say, I don't like this design, I never have and never will, but if you pick up the phone, hold it for 2 or 3 days, the format will grow on you. On the con side, we have the low light picture taking. So if you take pictures in a condition of lower light, you'll be disappointed. The case is slippery, another defect, glossy and slippery. Not so big upgrades compared to the S3. It's not a huge jump versus the S3. If you own the Galaxy S3, you won't buy this one. And finally, the pictures tend to be a bit oversaturated, those taken by daylight. It's time to give this device some grades. We're going to give it a 9 out of 10 for design, a 9.5 out of 10 for hardware, excellent hardware aside from a few minor camera defects, and finally a 10 out of 10 for operating system and user interface, because we love these apps and TouchWiz feels mature. The final grade is 9.5 out of 10, and the HTC One got 9.7 out of 10 from us, so this must say everything. One thing I can say about this device is that the Galaxy S4 takes care of you while you take care of the HTC One. So this is a review of the Samsung Galaxy S4 from gsndon.com. Hope you liked it. We'll be back with more stuff and reviews soon. Bye bye.